Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wonderful people. My name is Benjamin. Welcome to my book club. And today we're doing another book tag video. This is one I was tagged in by basically ℚ𝕚𝕚. There will be a link to her channel and her video in the description below. She's just celebrated her 2-year anniversary on Booktube. So congratulations, ℚ𝕚𝕚, and everyone should go check her out. She's fantastic. But the video she's tagged me in is the quick to judge tag. And I think this is going to be a good one for me because I often struggle with figuring out what to read next. The gist of this tag is that you grab 5 to 10 books that you think about reading next, read the first paragraph, and then rank them based on that. And then whoever wins, that's the book you read. So I've grabbed 8 books. I've avoided sequels and follow-ups and stuff like that so that we're not gonna, accidentally spoil anything. So spoiler alert for the first paragraph of some of these books. I mean, that's hardly a spoiler, so I think you're gonna live. I don't want to see anyone complaining about that in the comments below. I'm gonna read the first paragraph of them to you, say what we think about them, and then try and figure out which one the best one was. Maybe try and rank them in order. Let's jump right into it. The books we're going to be looking at today are ℙ𝕚𝕚𝕚 by Brian Lumley, *Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, We Used to Live Here by Marcus ℙ𝕚𝕚𝕚, The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin, 36 Streets by T.R. Napa, The Lion, Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks, The Black-Tongued Thief by Christopher *𝕬𝕚𝕚, and Stephen Donaldson's The Gap into Conflict, the real story, the book 1 of that series. Let's start off with this one. This is the first time I'm opening the first page of any of these. I'm hoping that they're all sort of generally formatted in paragraphs, otherwise this could be awkward. It looks like they are. So, Stephen Donaldson's The Gap into Conflict, the real story, paragraph 1. Most of the crowd at Mallory's bar and sleepover in Delta Sector had no idea what was really going on. As far as they were concerned, it was just another example of animal passion. Men and women driven together by lust. The kind of thing everybody understood, or at least dreamed about. The only uncommon feature was that in this case, the passion included some common sense. Only a few people knew there was more to it. Alright, well, maybe a bunch of people having sex in a bar. Not the intro to a Faster Than Light FTL sort of sci-fi adventure I was thinking. So ranking pretty low so far. That doesn't excite me to get into the series. What shelf can we see? Here we go. I am going to move my knight. Stompy, 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 stompy out of the way. And we will rank them over here. So far, as the only book, it can go there. Next up, a horror book. I haven't read horror in quite a while. I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately, so let's have a look at We Used to Live Here by Marcus ℚ𝕚𝕚𝕚. I'm definitely saying that wrong. There's a map of a house. They'd rung the doorbell unannounced on a chilly Friday night. The strangers on Eve Palmer's doorstep seemed harmless enough. Yet Eve, ever cautious, peered through the blinds and debated whether to open the door. It was a family of 5, middle class, wrapped in sturdy winter jackets. The parents were in their early 40s, Eve guessed. A tall father with broad shoulders and a square jaw. A petite blonde mother with cold blue eyes and a silver cross necklace. Between them, 3 kids lined up by height. 1 girl, 2 boys. All in all, they seemed like the kind of brood that would cap a Sunday morning sermon with a brunch at Applebee's. Eve was more than a little familiar with the crowd. Concluding there was no serious threat, she opened the door. Interesting mostly only because of kind of how normalish it is and because of the sort of tagline on the front, you let them in, you let them back in, you shouldn't have. But again, not the sort of high-octane first paragraph we're looking for, but I am a bit more interested in it than Stephen Donaldson, so they can go there. Let's go with a classic that I promised to read very soon, and that is Orson Scott Card's *Ender's Game. I picked up this copy at a used bookstore near me for, I want to say like $1, so that was very lucky. Let's have a look. Acknowledgements. Chapter 1. I've watched through his eyes, I've listened through his ears, and I tell you, he's the one. Or at least as close as we're going to get. That's what you said about the brother. The brother tested out impossible, for other reasons, nothing to do with his ability. Same with the sister. And there are doubts about him. He's too malleable, too willing to submerge himself in someone else's will, not if the other person is his enemy. So what do? Surround him with enemies all the time? If we have to. I thought you said you liked this kid. If the buggers get him, they'll make me look like his favourite uncle. Alright, we're saving the world after all. Take him. I've seen the movie of *Ender's Game, so I do kind of know the story of this book, but that's a much more interesting opening paragraph talking about essentially kidnapping a kid, it seems, for some sort of world-saving but seemingly nefarious purpose. It's definitely in the lead so far. All right, let's check out Christopher *𝕬𝕚𝕚𝕚's The Black-Tongued Thief. Christopher *𝕬𝕚𝕚𝕚's Between Two Fires is the book that kind of basically is the book that got me into fantasy again after not reading it since I was a teenager. So I've been looking forward to reading this one for quite a while. Map, calendars, here we go. I was about to die. Worse, I was about to die with bastards. Not that I was afraid to die, but maybe who you die with is important. It's important who you're with when you're born, after all. If everybody's wearing clean linen and silk and looking down at you squirming in your bassinet, you'll have a vastly different life than if the first thing you see when you open your eyes is a billy goat. I looked over at ℙ𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚 and decided he looked uncomfortably like a billy goat. What with his long head, long beard, an unlovely habit of chewing even when he had no food. ℙ𝕚𝕚 used to be a farmer. ℙ𝕚, just next to him in a rusty ringmail, used to be his wife. Now they were thieves, but not subtle thieves like me. Well, there's definitely some more tension there than we've had so far, and the cover's just fantastic for this book. I think I'm more excited about that paragraph than I am about the Orson Scott Card one. They're very close, but I think this one's just gonna edge it out. All right, time for the only Warhammer book on the list. It is The Lion, Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks. A lot of people have told me that this is one of the best Warhammer books that has come out recently, and I'm very interested in The Return of the Lion and Imperium Nihilus, all of that sort of stuff, so let's see how it goes. The river sings silver notes, a perpetual chaotic babble in which a fantastically complex melody seems to hang. Tantalizing, just out of reach of the listener. He could spend eternity here trying to find the heart of it without ever succeeding, yet still not consider the time wasted. The sound of water over stone, the interplay of energy and matter, creates a quiet symphony that is both unremarkable and unique. He does not know how long he's been here, just listening, nor, he realizes, does he know where here is. That feels like a pretty classic opening to a Warhammer book. Pretty poetic-y sort of prose right there. I think that's probably going to end up being the lion sort of waking up, so that's really interesting. Now, where does it go on my list, though? It probably falls just underneath The Black-Tongued Thief, but I did really like the prose. For now, I am just going to nudge it right here. For now, that's where we can live. Up next is 36 Streets by T.R. Napper. T.R. Napper's The ℚ𝕚𝕚 is one of my favorite sci-fi books of all time. It was on my top 15 sci-fi books list. If you haven't seen it, it's in the corner, but ciao. And he writes just fantastic cyberpunk, and I'm really excited to read more of his stuff. Let's see how 36 Streets starts off. The problem with heroes was that they thought the world owed them tribute before being sent to die. Awed respect, last requests, nobility and death, all that bullshit. This hero was no different. Handcuffed to a rusted wall pipe, wrists bloody, looking up at ℚ𝕚𝕚 through a sheen of sweat and fear and perverse hope. Dark eyes, lean shoulders, lean face. He said, Jaw said, "Get word to my mother. Tell her what happened." Oh, I like that. I really like that. I love the way T.R. Napper writes. It's like gritty. Gritty cyberpunk. This one's winning so far. That excites me. And the idea that we're at least seemingly seeing through the eyes of a not so great person, if they're looking down on heroes, in the same way that we were like following a criminal in The ℚ𝕚𝕚, I loved that. So yeah, that can go there for now. Up next is a book I've been meaning to read for years and years and years and years, and I have this lovely broken binding edition. It is obviously The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin, with the lovely illustrations and the sprayed edges. Just an all-time sci-fi classic that I just haven't gotten around to reading yet. Introduction by China Miéville. Introduction by Ursula K. Le Guin. Here's a good question, especially with these sort of classic books that have introductions. Do you read the introduction before you read the book? I have a few times, and a couple of times I found that there just been a spoiler in the introduction, like a spoiler for like a fairly big plot twist. And so nowadays I skip them and then I come back and read them after I finish the book. What do you guys do? Anyway, I'll make my report as if I told a story. For I was taught as a child on my homeworld that truth is a matter of imagination. The soundest fact may fail or prevail in the style of its telling. Like that singular organic jewel of our seas, which grows brighter as one woman wears it and worn by another dulls and goes to dust. Facts are no more solid, coherent, round and real than pearls are, but both are sensitive. That's a pretty great opening set of lines for a book, isn't it? Letting you know immediately that it's being told as a story, that perhaps it's not all quite as true as it looks. It's really, really good. Is it? It is. It is the top one so far. And my final book for today is Brian Lumley's Necroscope. I have seen people online recommend this as just a fantastic vampire series, one of the best of all time. And oh, it's got that old school blocky text. You know what I'm talking about. Blocky sort of text. Let's find page 1. The hotel was big and rather famous, ostentatious if not downright flamboyant, with an easy walking distance of Whitehall, and not entirely what it seemed to be. Its top floor was totally given over to a company of international entrepreneurs, which was the sum total of the hotel manager's knowledge about it. The occupants of that unknown upper region had their own elevator at the rear of the building, private stairs also at the rear and entirely closed off from the hotel itself, even their own fire escape. Indeed, they, being the only identification one might reasonably apply in such circumstances, owned the top floor, and so fell entirely outside the hotel's sphere of control and operation, except that from the outside looking in, few would suspect that the building in toto was anything other than what it purported to be, which was exactly the guise or aspect, or lack of such, which they wished to convey. Oh, I love a mystery. I love a mysterious organization or group of people. Oh, it's not as good as the ℚ𝕚𝕚𝕚 opening, but it's probably better than Black Tongue Thief. I think it's going to go in 3rd place. So, in conclusion, in last place, we had The Real Story by Stephen Donaldson. Then We Used to Live Here by Marcus Clay. Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Lion, Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks. Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlman. 3rd place is Necroscope by Brian Lumley. Silver medal goes to T.R. Napa with 36 Streets. And the winner, and the book I'll read next, is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. What did you think of these opening lines? Would you have rated them any differently? I want to tag a few people. First off, in these videos, I always tag my friend and favorite booktuber, Digger Dan Reads. Instead, I would tag a good friend of mine, someone I've talked to a lot since I started Booktube, Cliff's Dark Gems. I think Cliff would have a very good take on this. I think Cliff has a great reading voice, and I think it would be really good to watch. And also Kevin Toll Reads over at his Booktube channel, another fantastic Booktube channel that you should check out if you haven't. Let me know if there's any of these sort of tag videos you'd like me to do. I do enjoy doing them, and it would be great if you let me know if there was anything that interested you. If you want to pick up a copy of any of these books, then I would highly recommend seeking out your local bookstore. A local independent bookstore is the absolute best way to find these sort of things, help support them. Local used bookstore is fantastic as well, but if you don't have that sort of thing available, if they don't have it in stock, you can find links in the description below to pick them up from Amazon, which helps support the channel. Thank you so much for everyone that's subscribed. Thank you so much for everyone that comments. Thank you so much for everyone that watches. Please just remember to do all the YouTube things, but most of all, just keep reading. Thanks. Ciao.